All praises unto the Most High, Father. We give him thanks unto thee for thy merciful and kind. We thank you, Father, for all thy mercies and thy blessings, because you, Father, have made everything possible. Now, Israel, we're here today again with another lesson. And this one I really wanted to kind of put to bed. And, you know, I've had conversation with people before. We're dealing with this topic, which is, you know, pointing to the Bible that we use, because anytime I recommend the Bible, I recommend the King James version, right? Which is the KJV. And what happens is that a lot of people with misinformation, which people have told them, I don't know where they get most of the information from, but it's understandable. I mean, I'm not gonna ridicule anybody or point any fingers, but they tend to give you the information that they said that the King James version of the Bible, which King James is an homosexual, and not only is a homosexual, he slept with his mother. Now, everything that whoever told them this information, or wherever they get it from, was a misinformation to lead our people astray from the Bible, which is the King James version, which is actually known as the Apocrypha, because it has the Apocrypha and well, they're both in one, which is the Bible and the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha really and truly is a part of the Bible. Um, what the Apocrypha means is lost books, right? So with the Apocrypha, it gives you more in-depth information dealing with certain areas of the Bible, which the Bible itself might just give you in a summary or not totally in depth, right? But with the Apocrypha, also it gives you more um, elaborations on, like, the book of, let's say, Maccabees, right? And then you have Jasher, you have the book of Enoch, um, the book of Jubilees, and so on and so forth. And it's it's an eye opener. So the reason I'm doing this video here is just to kind of edify people which might have it in mind that that is the case, and it's not so, that it's false information. And not only that, but there's more information that would, really start letting you start to think that, wow, if this is the case, then what is it that, you know, these people have told us, which, you know, are lies, I mean, these people are straight up liars. I mean, they don't know to do nothing else but tell lies, which is a reason being that from you're a liar, you're the seed of Satan, because he's the father of lies, right? No, I'm not gonna stay too long, too much deliberation. I'm gonna just go straight into the video. So this is you can see right here a picture of King James. Now, King James was actually a dark skinned, as we say, so-called black man, right? So he's from the line of Shem, and also um, known to the should be tracing his roots back into Judah. He's an Israelite, right? So with no further ado, Israel, I'm going to go into the video. But before I do so, I'm going to read a short information on King James, and then I'm going to go into a video that gives you more in-depth information on King James, right? So let's go up here now, scroll up a little. All right. So I'm gonna highlight. I'm hoping that you're seeing it properly, because I didn't want to go to full screen. So obviously you can see the reading here for yourselves. Okay. I'm gonna highlight this starting from the top here. Let's just highlight all of this, right? All right. So it says here, King James the sixth and the first, right? Reason being, He was the king originally of Scotland and the first of England. Um, Not the first of England, but the first to be the king of Scotland, England, and also Ireland at once, right? So it was no joke thing. So let me go through it real quickly. So King James the sixth and the first, 19th June 1566, 27th of March and 1625, right? Now was King James of Scotland as King James the Sixth from the 24th of July 1567 and King of England and Ireland as King James First from the union of the Scottish and English crown on the 24th of March 1603 until his death. The king, the kingdom of Scotland and England were individual sovereignty states with their own parliament, judiciary system and laws. Well, judiciary, we just a judiciary system, but that's what it is. Judicity, cities and laws, and also through both were ruled by James in personal union. So basically, King James was a king that ruled three realms at once, right? And up to this date now, it's known as Great Britain, but Scotland is actually now a different state compared to England, and England is separate from Ireland. They're all different countries. They're called Great Britain, but they're really run by not, by different a different we call it now prime ministers, or if you want to say, you know um sovereignties, if that's what you want to call them. I don't call them that, but it is what it is. So let's go here now again. So I'm going to read it about there. So I'm going to highlight that. So James was the son of Mary, Queen of Scots, and a great great grandson of Henry VII, King of England and the Lord of Ireland, through both his parents, uniquely positioning him to eventually ascend to all three thrones. King James succeeded to the Scottish throne at the age of 13 months. So I'm not going to go too much into this, and I'm going to let, when we watch the video, it goes more in depth. So let me just read. After his mother Mary was compelled to abdicate in his favor, um, let's highlight this again now. Four different regents government during his minority, which ended officially in 1578. Through he did not gain full control of his government until 1583. In 1603, he succeeded the last Tudor monarch of England and Ireland, um, Elizabeth I, who died without issue. He continued to reign in all three kingdoms for 22 years, a period known as the Jacob Beam. An era of him, I like this now, an era of him, an era of him until his death in 1625 at the age of 58. After the union of the crowns, he based himself in England, the largest of the three realms, from 1603, only returning to Scotland once in 1617, and styled himself King of Great Britain and Ireland. You know what I mean? That's no That's no small thing. Anyways, let's continue. He was a major advocate of a single parliamentary for both England and Scotland in his reign. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I actually, lived in England for a while, so I can tell you, you know, England government is a total different body. It's by itself, and also Scotland's a total different government body by itself. Even Ireland up to this day. So for him to have those under one parliamentary order, that was, I didn't even know that, to be honest. So let's continue. So he was a major advocate for a one single parliament for both England and Scotland. In his reign, the plantation of user and British colonization of the Americas began, right? So I'm not going to go through all of it. There's a bit more left. So I just wanted to just give you that quick information where um, his, you know, when he came to the throne and, period from when he died and all that. So with no further ado, let's get into the video because the video is, I would say, far more information putting forth and very astute in knowledge. So let's do it, Israel. Let's do it like this.
Was James Charles Stewart. All right. He was born June 19th in Edinburgh Castle in Scotland. Oh, don't be surprised. I know when you look at the news and look at TV and you see Scotland and England, you think it's all white people, don't you? You've been bamboozled. See, when you're in a box if you're in a slave mentality and haven't been anywhere, they can control your perception of the world by showing you Scotland and never showing you black people. There's millions of black people all over the world and in England, and was there before the slave trade. Okay? So don't be surprised when you hear black people in Scotland. That's like oil and water. That doesn't sound right. Black people should be in Africa, right? Mm-hmm. That's how you have been programmed. That's part of your program. When you think black, you think Africa. They want you to think that. Okay? How did these black people get in England and rule in England? Nature Knows No Color Line have coats of arms with nobility by J.A. Rogers, showing black people with nobility ruling in Europe. Why? Because after Rome fell, after Septimius Severus and Pescennius Niger, a black man, took over the hierarchy of England, the black people ruled during the Dark Ages. Judah was set up again over in Europe. And that's why the name of England is called England, which means angel's land. The original Anglo-Saxons, when you translate the word Anglo-Saxon, it means the angelic sons of Isaac. Who are the sons of Isaac? Jacob. Yes, we ruled Europe. While white people were there too. They had their little provinces which they ruled, but we were nobility in England. And that's why when you look at some of the old 1700 dresses of them coming to America, you see nobility or people of stature, Caucasian women, wearing bells under their dress. Showing them they had corsets on their waist and had bells under their dress to show a big derriere, or mimicking the black women who were ruling nobility in England. So that's why they had the bells under their dress, to mimic the black woman's shape. Okay, you didn't know this, did you? Okay, see, but you've been programmed. All right, now, let's go back to it. His name was James Charles Stewart. All right, born June 19th in Edinburgh Castle in Scotland. See, we got books. All right, we're not going to go for what they tell us. All right, we've researched. All right. He was born to Mary Queen of Scots, Lord Darnley, in 1566. Oh yeah, his mother was black too. Lighter skin, but black. His father was murdered a year later after his birth in 1567. This led to King James, or the young Prince James, being crowned the King of Scotland while he was only 13 months old. He was 1 year old and 1 month when he was already anointed king after the untimely death of his father. All right? He was at this time crowned James VI of Scotland at the age of 12. Why? Because under the Jew law, 12 was when you go to the temple of the priest to be anointed as a man. That's why I tell you, in Christ, when he was 12, they went up to Jerusalem.
I am.
Why? He had to anoint him under the Jew law. So yeah, King James was not only black, oh yeah, he was a Jew. At the age of 12, hold on, let me look at that. Look at that clearly. Can't get Prince Charles out of that, can you? Look at that there. They didn't want you to know. That's why they got fusion centers. Let's go back to this here. He was at this time crowned James VI of Scotland at the age of 12, and he assumed power over the throne. Now, from the time of his youth, James was tutored in the languages of Greek, Latin, French, Italian, and Spanish. He was also a well-learned historian in his own right. Now, it also was important to mention that he was learned in arithmetic, cosmography, the study of maps, along with many other areas of learning. So they don't want you to know that not only are you noble, you have the propensity to be highly educated and rule. See, they could not teach this to slaves that were on the other side of the Atlantic. If these slaves who went into America, who was enslaved there, knew that at the same time that black people were ruling, that would change their perception of hope, and know that being a slave is not, you don't have to be in a slave mentality. You can actually operate and run the world like you once did. Now, follow me here. He was learning cosmography, the study of maps, along with many other areas of learning. All right. Now, after ruling Scotland for 36 years, King James, a black man, became the first ever king to rule over both England and Scotland when he became King of England in the year 1603. That's why he's called King James the Sixth and the First. The Sixth of Scott, the First of England. Now, while in Scotland, he was called King James VI. That was due to the fact that he ascended to each of these thrones at two different time periods. Now, while there were already 5 James that ruled prior to him, he became the first ruler over England. Now, he was the first king to sit on 3 different thrones at once. Now, check this out. Not only did he sit on England, he also sat on the thrones of Scotland and Ireland. I know when you think of these countries, you think of white Caucasians. While white Caucasians lived in the land, black people ruled in great number too, mind you. And I don't think that that's not possible. Sitting in a country right now, if you're in America, there's many white people in America, but you can have a black person ruling, as you have a black person in a rulership seat. Even though it's ceremonial, nonetheless, it's a rulership seat with Barack Obama. All right? But at this time, King James, not unlike today, was ruling from the throne with no powers or European influence or Roman influence in his cabinet or to control his goings. Why? Because King James was protecting Zion in his rule, during his rule. And he was fighting against the Roman Catholic Church. I'm going to get into that in a moment. He was the first king to sit on 3 thrones at once. So this is not your everyday so-called black man that's uneducated, all right? You're uneducated because they would like to have it so. But going back to King James, England, Scotland, and Ireland. He was responsible for uniting these 3 countries into what is called Great Britain today. Okay, before this time, before it was called England, it was called in ancient times Britannica. Now, you would believe that an accomplishment as great as this would be taught in your modern history. Now, if the Roman Catholic wanted you to really come back to the Bible, black people, and embrace this word, wouldn't they promote such a great man with such a great work, this highly educated black man of nobility? No, they want you to believe that he was a white homosexual that had sex with his mother. More, claiming, now, he was also responsible for calling a decree for the translation of the Old and New Testament out of the original Hebrew and Greek tongues. Now, this translation is known today as the King James Version 1611 Bible, and it is the most accurate translation of the Bible. Now, before I go there, Lloyd, I need you to do me a favor, right? Mm-hmm. I need you to go over there real quick and grab that King James in the bond. Mm-hmm. That big book for me? Okay. Grab that for me real quick, please. Now, while he gets the book, because I want to show you this is important, because this book came from England itself, and I want you to see this, and especially for all the so-called Christian pastors out there who didn't do this research. A matter of fact, black pastors or any pastor for that matter, that's teaching in the poor neighborhoods. Okay? If you're teaching in the poor neighborhoods, brothers and sisters, then this is the information that you should use to empower our people. What greater way could you pull our people out of their spiritual or religious coma? What greater way, if you're trying to lead them back to the Bible, to give them proof that their people had a hand in its creation? What greater way? And that's why our people have been a prey to Muslims, Buddhists, and all these others, because they was able to lie on King James. Now, I had a lawyer come grab this, and I'd like to thank the sisters who actually donated this book in England, and may the Most High have grace on them. This actually came from Oxford University. See that? This is proof here. Especially for you black preachers out there. Oxford University. And it got the signet, and here's your original King James that was translated. The Holy Bible concerning the Old and New Testament out of the ancient, what you would call Quaker English. In this original translation, what do we have here? Oh, you would never guess, pastors and preachers. The King James Apocrypha. See that word there? Apocrypha. See that? Look on your screen. You see the word apocrypha there? To show you that the King James Apocrypha, the 14 books were a part of the original translation. But they'll never tell the black churches. They'll never tell the churches this, because why? In the Apocrypha, it mentions the Europeans putting up a false image of Christ and using pagan rites to destroy God's people and teach a new religion on earth. It also teaches about the 10 tribes that left Israel, the northern kingdom, in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, of how the North American Indians, all the tribes that were over there in the New World when the Europeans got there, they were from the lost tribes of Israel. So they took the book out and they lied to the ministers and made them believe that the Apocrypha was not spiritually inspired, so they had to take it out. No, it had nothing to do with that. It's very spiritually inspired and prophetic in content. They lied to you to keep you from the book so that you would not identify the true people of God and uphold the impostors over there in Palestine as the children of Israel. See, we got the proof. King James was a black Jew. Now that I have his book in front of me to show you we have proof, and if you don't believe it, research it yourself. What are you going to do now that you know the truth? Are you going to take this information and proclaim truth throughout the earth, or will you continue in the lie that have been perpetrated amongst our people? And I'm saying black, white people, no matter what color you are, alike, spread the truth. It's in front of you. Now, speaking to pastors and preachers and teachers who are not of our color, who are of different persuasion, if you deny this information because you claim color don't matter, you are part of the conspiracy. Because color does matter. Why? Because they lied to our people and claimed that King James was a white homosexual. And that had a lasting impression on how a lot of our people viewed the Bible. So it did matter. If you have people who've done things to you at this time when the information was coming out, you had people water hosing our people, Jim Crow laws, racial tension. So you had a demographic of people who King James.
Yes, Israel. I mean, honestly, that, you know, short information there to give you um, insight into who, I mean, King James was, and basically who we are as a people, where we're coming from. I mean, I don't think I can say enough, but as I said, and I always say, you don't have to take my word for it. Take the time out to do your own research and, see what comes of it. So I'm going to read something here from Psalms 7, right? And I think it's fitting to the lesson, all right? So it reads, O Elohim, my Father, in thee do I put my trust. Save me from all them that persecute me and deliver me, lest he tear my soul like a lion, rendering it in pieces, while there is none to deliver. O Elohim, my Father, if I have done this, if there be iniquity in my hands, if I have rewarded evil unto him that was at peace with me, yea, I have delivered him that without cause is mine enemy. Let the enemy persecute my soul and take it, yea, let him tread down my soul upon the earth and lay mine honor in the dust. Selah. Arise, O Elohim, in thine anger, lift up thyself because of the rage of mine enemies, and awake for me to the judgment that thou hast commanded. So shall the congregation of the people compass thee about. For their sakes, therefore, return thou on high. The Most High shall judge the people. Judge me, O Elohim, according to my righteousness and according to my integrity that is in me. O let the wicked of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just, for the righteous Elohim trieth the heart and reigns. My defense is of Elohim, which save the upright in heart. Elohim judgeth the righteous and the Elohim is angry with the wicked every day. If he turn not, he will with his sword. He had bent his bow and made ready. He had also prepared for him the instrument of death. He ordaineth his arrow against persecutors. Behold, he travaileth with iniquity, and had conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. Let me just read that small part again. And had conceived false, and had conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. You understand? This is what they do. He made a pit and digged it, and his fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own plight. I will praise the Most High according to his righteousness, and will sing praise to the name of Elohim Most High. So, Israel, as you can see, you know, his mischief shall return upon his own head, right? And had conceived what? Mischief, and brought forth falsehood. Falsehood means lies. And this is what these people have done over the time and time and time. They are liars. They know nothing else but to speak lies and try to cover up a lie with another lie. But all of this is slowly but surely coming forth because the Most High is letting all the information out. It's really and truly as if you want to find this information, right? Because information is here, right at your fingertips. So really and truly, you don't have an excuse now to say that, boy, I never knew. Information is here. You can get information quicker than you can say, you know, quiddly diddly. You understand? You can get information that is readily there for your own edification of your what? Your history. Just as Marcus Garvey said, a man without roots is like a tree that is dead. You understand? So if you don't know your history, you won't know where you're going. And that's so true. So Israel, I hope this has been a very edifying information and lesson for you. And I pray that the Most High keep, open up your spirits and your hearts and your minds to learn and find more about your history and your Elohim, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Elohim of Israel, right? Get to know your God, get to know Christ, who actually laid down his life for you. So until the next time, we will have more information to edify and also to spiritualize your being. So until then, shalom.